So, a new GBO2 newsletter is here, and you know what that means. Tons of people in the comments bitching about the PC release not happening. But, enough about that. What's going on, everybody? This is Goose the 13th here with another video checking out the recent newsletter for Gundam Battle Operation 2. And right out of the gate, we have some talk about the Witch from Mercury, which is pretty neat, getting hyped about that. I wonder if we're gonna get any, like, posters or anything like that in the base camp. That'd be nice. But that is not the meat and potatoes here. As we scroll down, we had the Delta Kai is finally coming to Gundam Battle Operation 2. Pretty exciting. It's gonna be a 650 ground space general suit. Transformable, of course, as most of the family is, as well as having the Nitro system, which is its own power-up. And something that you'll see in the trailer, or at least you won't see in the trailer specifically once we show it, is that the Nitro system should have some flames coming off of the suit when it actually activates. But you do see a lot of the other stuff, like the some of the funnels and things like that. After seeing the suit in action in G-Gen Genesis, it was actually kind of interesting to be like, when is this actually going to come out in this game? So now we have our answer. But yeah, here, go on and check out the trailer right about here. So yeah, definitely looking pretty hype. Very glad that they put it at 650 so it doesn't immediately have to compete with all the Psycho Jammers and all that other crazy shit. So going down the list here, we have a prototype unit that was developed via incorporated the new Psychomu and other equipment based on the operational data of the Delta Plus. Equipped with powerful armaments that are reminiscent of the 4th generation mobile suits, such as the long Mega Buster, high Mega Cannon, mounted on shield and a proto-fin funnel. Psychomu weapons that shoot beam projectiles. We already talked a little bit about the Nitro system, so in the overall, we have the reloading and overheating and focus time of all weapons are reduced while the skill is activated for Nitro. When the skill is activated, the weapon switch time and also the focus time of all weapons is reduced, and Psychomu weapons are enhanced. Only the moment of skill activation, it also nullifies the reactions of other staggers due to the accumulation of damage. And then of course the next big bit of news here is the new map. We're getting another ground map, who would have thought? Trenches. And the upcoming new map Trenches is scheduled to be added, set in the trench of the mobile suits built in the suburbs of an urban area where players fight against each other while blocking the line of fire with trenches, buildings, and other terrain. So, I'm not super sure if this is a GBO OG map or not. I'd kind of assume maybe there was one that was similar. I also have to say, and I'll scroll down real quick, but like, it's kind of funny. I know it's not supposed to be funny, but it kind of cracks me up a little bit, the idea of like gigantic trenches for mobile suits, and then you have, you know, your little Medea base hanging out here, dipped in there as well. Very dreary, very muddy. Very early 2000s kind of Gears of War looking shit right here, so maybe it is actually an OG map.
Nope.
But as we scroll back up, let us check out. It's mainly divided into 2 layers: the trenches where visibility and firing lines are difficult to pass through, and the surface where visibility and firing lines are easy to pass through. Straight up, just simple enough. Trenches is a tingle terrain which makes attack time consuming, but they also provide a relatively safe approach to enemy aircraft because of the difficulty of getting through the line of fire. The disadvantage of surface is that units are more vulnerable to fire. Since the line of fire is easier to pass through, however, surface has the advantage of allowing soldiers to jump over tingle trenches, so it can be used in different ways depending on the situation. So, right out of the gate, this seems like something that would have been a little bit more put together without the concept of transformable suits or flying suits, and it kind of makes me wonder how that's going to play out at slightly higher costs or costs that tend to have flying suits available. Are they going to absolutely get lambasted out of the sky? Is it going to be a little too awkward for people to try to get them out? Will they be running into each other too much in the trenches or on the top surface trying to get to it, and is that going to make them act up? Looking at the layout here, a little bit of symmetry going on. So we got 4 different points. Both Medeas are just on the opposite sides of the thin ends, and as opposed to being in the north and south, we have them in east and west. In particular, it seems like they're mostly in similar areas. You can also see that there's a little bit of buildingage in some of these as well. And I think they also talk about it here in the next point. So, we have sniping points placed in key locations, glass buildings, and high ground are placed in the center of the map. Again, a little weird. The idea that like the surface is supposed to be exposed and a little scary. And so they put a bunch of buildings in the center. I'm assuming there's probably some more on the outside too, but you know, I guess they're supposed to be more prominent here. A strong position with good terrain for sniping and bombardment, also possibly to target some of the trenches that have enemy units within them. In other words, it's easy to attract attention and receive concentrated fire, so be aware of the positions of enemy units and escort your teammates before attacking. I guess if you're scouting or trying to get some simpler stuff, you just want to try to duck in here and do what you gotta do. Overall, pretty neat. It kind of makes me wonder what the transformable ceiling is going to be in terms of the skybox and how high they're going to let you go. What advantages there's really going to be to that, because you know there's going to be a lot of people zooming around at high cost. In fact, I would almost argue if this goes up to like 650 or 700 on average for the maps on lobbies, it's mostly going to be people ignoring the trenches and just fighting each other on a big flat map. Then again, considering the routes, it very well could just turn into some NASCAR shit, because you could just have like this group going for C and B, while this group goes for D and A, and then they just slosh around until they get to mid as well. I don't doubt that is a possibility. We'll just have to see when it drops, because it is actually dropping this week on the 28th, so in a couple days. Overall, pretty neat. I was actually just talking about this yesterday, the idea that like I really hope we get some news soon. Hopefully it's not just going to be unit adjustments, so that we know that like, you know, there's still some other big stuff coming for the game. Of course, with October coming up very soon, we also have the prospect of the Halloween event. And then after that, of course, we'll be focusing on Christmas coming up after all that. But it's neat to know that we're still making events with other suits. It doesn't always have to be like some 700 crazy fanfare or whatever. The Delta Chi in and of itself is a really cool drop. Definitely excited for that. Glad that they're still pulling stuff from other things like that. Because we've been talking about this as a possibility for a little while. Pretty hyped for this. I know that for a lot of people, like I was joking in the beginning, it is really disappointing that this isn't going to have a PC drop, especially with some of the crashes and struggles of Gundam Evolution. I think a lot of people are pretty frustrated, but honestly, it is what it is. We're going to have to just hope that maybe during like holidays or whatever that they consider it, or at least talk about it. I know we've constantly been pushing up that expectation date, but like, it's kind of where we're at right now. Maybe as some of the other Gundam game related news starts to thin out, like the DLC for SD Gundam is going to be dropping eventually. There's only 2 other things that we know that are coming. Evolution's first season is also still underway, and they've already done their suit announcements and stuff for that. So seeing stuff like the Delta Chi and the new map, definitely encouraging. Hopefully they drop well this week without any real hiccups or like bugs or whatever, but we'll just have to see. But overall, that is the newsletter for now. Over here in late September, also be aware, like I was saying before, that we're probably also going to get some unit adjustments, which is going to be cool. Hopefully we get some good changes in there. And until next time, I hope you guys have a good rest of your morning, night, or whatever. I'll talk to you all later.